Wednesday.
Well, good morning. You're not Derek.
No. He bailed on you this morning.
I tell you what, I'm going to have to get him.
Yep. He texted me this weekend and said, I'm going to be out of town Monday. Would you mind going and doing the radio show? So here I am.
Here you are.
That's right.
Well, good morning to you. I'm Donna Lynn.
And I'm Mark Thigpen, the Chief Deputy for the Sheriff's Office.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right, what are we talking about here? I'm thinking about sinkholes right at this second. So what's going on with that? And talking about the Frontier outage.
Yeah, we've had quite an exciting week, if you will. Fortunately, most of the sinkhole issues have been within the city limits. There is one that has occurred that's outside the city. And also one, well, actually I take it back, two. One occurred, which was more of a washout, undermining the roadway in Martins Creek. And then we have an actual sinkhole that's opened up as you turn up Providence Lane, which goes up to Holiday Inn Express, Eller and Owens. Fortunately, though, it's not in the roadway. It's off the side of the roadway. The other two sinkholes that occurred are in the city limits, one at Wendy's, so you can't go through the drive-thru to get your Frosty. You have to go in. And the other one is between Crystals and the old bank there, the People's Bank. And it is quite a large sinkhole. And checked on it yesterday, and it's actually expanded a little bit more as time's going on.
Wow.
So.
The mayor's going to be upset.
Well, fortunately for him, all of it's on private property, so it doesn't come. I talked with some of their people over the weekend, and they have went out and looked at it to make sure it wasn't anything that falls on them, but it actually falls back on the various landowners for those different pieces of property. Basically, a lot of people don't know there's an old creek bed that runs through there, and years ago those pieces of property were filled in. They put drain tiles in the property and then filled it in so it could be built on. And apparently, there's been a failure somewhere of those drain tiles that creek's running through. So, I don't think we have quite the same incidents occurring that you see on the news and in other places where they happen for no apparent reason. We know there's creek bed runs through there, and with all our rain, obviously it's undermined the integrity of that particular area, and made for quite a sight, though.
Too much excitement. Huh?
Yeah. So.
And what was this about a Frontier outage, and that affected y'all?
It did. I know checking Facebook last night, quite a number of people were upset that they couldn't get on Facebook, they couldn't get on the internet, their cell phone service was down. Well, for us, it was a much greater concern. It was a Frontier issue that we're still trying to determine exactly what happened, but it actually, not only did it take out the cell phone towers right here in Murphy and the internet, it took out the entire 911 system. So for about 45 minutes, we were without 911 service here in this county. Our folks that were working last night got on the ball very quickly, and we came up with some alternatives. We have what we call a virtual switch that's supposed to take place when one of these incidents occurs. It reroutes the 911 lines back to our administrative phone lines. Well, in the perfect storm last night, that failed as well.
Oh, dear.
So we were actually making test 911 calls to determine from different parts of the county who was going to be receiving our 911 calls. We determined that some were going to Graham County, which is not that unusual for the Andrews area. Some were going to Union County, Georgia, and some would go to Polk County, Tennessee. So we made contact with all of those agencies and had a backup alternative, if you will, for people that could get phone calls in other areas of the county, such as myself at my house. I was still able to receive cell phone calls. So Union County had my numbers to call me, and then I had radio service back into dispatch to transfer any information that may have come in on a 911 call. Thought I was going to skip by without anything significant happening, and right before the service was restored, I actually received a phone call from Pickens County, Georgia.
Wow. Wow.
At the same time we were out, Clay County was out, and a resident of Clay County called 911 that went to Pickens County. Apparently Clay County wasn't aware of their calls going to that area. Pickens County had been in touch with Union County, and they called me, and we were able to transfer that need for an ambulance to Clay County. But
Wow.
it worked out well. We had no other emergency calls during the time frame, but just kind of makes me stop and think. We get so frustrated when we don't have our internet, when we don't have our cell phones, when in the grand scheme of things last night that was minuscule to what people really didn't have and didn't know they didn't have.
Right. Wow,
So-
that's actually disturbing. I can't imagine why it bounced to Pickens County. That's kind of far away from
It's-
Clay County.
It's a really strange thing, and I know when we were making some of our test calls last night, one of the Andrews PD officers made a 911 call from inside the police department, and it went to the National 911 Center, and forgive me, but I'm not sure where that's housed at. Definitely nowhere close to here.
I didn't even know there was a National 911 Center.
And they have our numbers to route anything that's for whatever mysterious reason doesn't come to our 911 center, but they were not able to get back into our center because not only did the cell phones within the city limits of Murphy and surrounding areas not work, but neither did any of our other phone services. It was we were literally completely dead in the water in regards to phone service. Now our radio services were still up and running with no problems, but we had to come up with some urgent stopgap measures to be able to have people positioned in areas of the county that could receive those calls and then transfer them back into the dispatch center by radio so they could page out or contact whoever might need whatever service that they might have had the need to call for.
See, we don't have a landline at our house, and we also have our cell phone service through Straight Talk, but we had no problem. We had everything. So
it was a very unique situation that it took out Clay County and then portions of Cherokee County. Now, as you and I talked earlier, if you're driving towards Andrews, once you got in range of the Graham County cell phone towers, it was fine. Same thing going west once you got in range of either the cell phone tower that's down towards Georgia on 19129 or the cell phone tower that's down towards the farmers market or on into Tennessee. All of those areas had cell phone service. The only problem was when they made a 911 call, instead of being routed to us, it went to the next closest location,
all
which
over the place.
it was I will have to say for our dispatchers that were working last night, our IT person who we made contact with, and he got on the ball and the computer and the phone and started working his processes. And Frontier, they had 2 technicians for sure that I know of that came actually to the facility here in Murphy to work as fast as they could to correct that problem. As of about midnight last night, they couldn't give us a specific answer as what occurred, but we're going to be having a after action meeting with them sometime probably this week to figure out what happened, why it happened, and to have an alternate plan in place to hopefully not experience that again.
That must have been in. Stand out in the rain with your radio?
Well, fortunately, I could sit in my house with my radio and talk to dispatch. But I was monitoring the radios last night when all this happened, and when I heard our dispatch center start checking with the different units out in the county and say, "Will you check your phone, see if you have service? We have nothing." It puts a little panic into you when you realize, that, depending on how many visitors we had in the county, you're looking at 30 some odd thousand people that, dial 911 and they expected to come here to get help. And instead they're going to somebody that doesn't know who they are or where they are. And
Cherokee County, where?
Yeah, it's exactly right. And then for them, because we do have those occasions where you're driving and you call and Graham County Tower picks up your cell phone call. Well, their standard process is to call our 911 center. Well, when they were trying to do that last night, they would get a busy signal or
that strange little beep, 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 beep,
this,
beep, 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 beep.
or one of those messages that says, this circuit is, all circuits are busy, try your call again later. And it was just, not a good situation at all. Fortunately, we came out with actually no 911 calls in our county and just the one that came through us for Clay County. So
that is really wonderful.
But not exactly what you want to be doing at 11:30 at night.
Right.
And like I say, it all panned out well. We got it fixed, and we're going to be looking at what did happen as soon as Frontier can tell us, and what we need to do on our end as well as what they'll be doing to prevent that in the future. And it's one of those again perfect storms.
Everything converged at once.
That's right. And what should have happened didn't happen. And our IT people actually have the capability to throw what they call a virtual switch to force it to happen. And they couldn't even call out to get to the number to make the virtual switch activate. Then when they got to where they could get phone service and make that call, it still didn't work. Anyway, so those folks that were upset about not having Facebook and being able to check the WKRK page to see what was going on, because I saw several people say that they were looking there to see what was going on. It was a bigger picture than a cell phone tower or just your internet being out.
Yeah, I remember in times past when I had a different phone system than my parents, and somebody would, icy night, somebody hit a tower, or there's ice, the ice on the tower where their little heat strips didn't work, and I didn't have any service, but my parents did, and we're all in the same household, and so well, let's hope that doesn't happen on this coming Thursday night.
We're hoping this was a one-time event that we will never see again.
Let's hope. Can you tell us some of the things that we need to be on the lookout for? I heard you say something about a new IRS scam.
Well, it's not.
It's not new.
It's
just
new twist on an old scam.
Okay.
I know the sheriff has spoke about this in the past several months, but it seems to be ramping up again as we get closer to filing tax time. Mm-hmm. And what we're seeing is a targeting of particularly elderly people who will get a phone call from an IRS agent that says, you owe the IRS X number of dollars, and we're either going to garnish your bank account, or we're going to come see some of your property, or we've even had one incident where an elderly lady was told that if you don't pay this amount within a certain amount of time, we will be there with an arrest warrant to take you to jail this afternoon. And of course, young or old, when you get a call from someone that says, you owe the government money and we're coming after you, it sends alarms. But the bottom line is, as we have researched these and looked into these, the IRS will not make a telephone call to any person to collect any taxes that are due, any penalties that are due. Everything that they do will be communicated by mail. So if our citizens, any of the radio listeners, receive any type of a call from IRS, what the IRS is telling you to do is to immediately hang up. What they're reporting is that if you engage in any conversation with them and give any information, then it opens you up for additional scams from other sources. They'll use, whether it's your birth dates, whether it's your address, whether it's your age. That stuff goes into these sophisticated scamming companies, and they'll turn around and will use those to come after you for some other type of scam. And of course, the one thing that they're really hoping to obtain is your bank account information. Mm-hmm. And what they typically will do is offer you an opportunity to easily pay this debt off over the phone by giving them your bank routing numbers, a credit card number, a debit card number, a savings account number, and they're trying to obtain your birth date, your social security number, and those other account information, and then they turn around and use that to do a variety of things, whether it's to set up false accounts in your name, doing some type of an identity theft type thing, or whether it's to actually access your bank accounts and drain your bank accounts of what may be in them. That's their ultimate goal, is to gather that information and to access your finances. So the IRS says, don't tell them anything. If somebody calls and says, I'm from the IRS and I want to talk to you about XYZ, hang up.
Because the IRS does not call you.
That's exactly right. They will only contact you by the U.S. mail for anything that has to do with any of your tax accounts. Mm-hmm. They've also sent out, and I have a telephone number and a email address that they're asking citizens across the United States to contact them at if you are the victim of one of these scam phone calls. And it's the U.S. Treasury Inspector General, specifically for the IRS. The telephone number is 1-800-366-4484. Again, that's 1-800-366-4484. They also have an email address, which is phishing@irs.gov, and that's phishing as in the internet phishing. It's P as in Paul, H Henry, I Ida, S Sam, H Henry, I Ida, N Nora, G George, @irs.gov. And they're asking anybody that receives any of these calls to either call the phone number or to send an email to let them know that you have received one of these calls, and give them some basic information, the phone number you were called at, the time, the date, and those kinds of things, so that they can use their resources to hopefully try to track down and prosecute some of these people that are particularly preying on our elderly and less fortunates.
All right. Okay. Now, I told you that I was asked to sing on a New Year's Eve service, and I said, I'm sorry, but on New Year's Eve, I go in my house and I stay there, because there's all kinds of crazy people out there driving around that might not be like all with their faculties in their mind at that moment. So can you give us any ideas as to what, I mean, I bet y'all have to beef up patrols on Thursday night.
We do beef up. Fortunately, for the last several years, the citizens of this county have been very good, and we've had minimal number of incidents.
That is wonderful.
People are much better, I think, nowadays than they used to be in making sure that they have a designated driver, mm-hmm. or staying home, or staying at wherever they may be having their events at. But the things that we encourage is, if you're out at an event and you see someone who is obviously impaired, under the influence, and they're trying to leave, if you can't talk them out of not leaving and getting them a ride with somebody else, is to immediately call 911 and give a description of the vehicle, where you think they're going, the direction they've headed, so that we can try to intercept them. Obviously, if they are driving impaired, they have broken the law, but our main concern is protection of the other motorists and the citizens that are out there, getting them off the street before somebody gets hurt, as opposed to getting them off the street just so we can arrest them.
Right. that's not your greatest
no.
effort there.
The ultimate goal is to protect lives,
right,
and to keep everybody safe. We would encourage anyone who's out and about on New Year's Eve that if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have a designated driver, you're not in the shape that you can drive home, to contact us. We may not be able to immediately help you, but we will make every effort to either get resources to you or get you in touch with someone that can get you home safely, or to a hotel, or wherever it may be that you're going. And of course, this time of year, everybody should be in a good, happy mood, but they're not always in a good, happy mood. So if you're out in a crowd and you see someone who is not being as festive as everyone else, we'd like to know that as well, so that we, if it's at an event which is a large number of people, that's the kind of person that we would rather see removed out of that crowd to prevent tempers from flaring, as opposed to letting them stay there and end up in some type of a confrontation. Hopefully, we will have the same track record that we had last year, and we won't be needed, or we will only be needed just a few minimal number of times. But our goal is for everyone to have a safe and happy New Year's, and that we can come back and talk to you, talk to the other media, and we have nothing to report. There was nothing significant that took place.
That's what we want to hear next Monday.
That's right.
If he actually shows up. If not, you just come on back and we'll talk bad about him or something.
Well, I have to be pretty nice to him, but I
do
like
too. He's my choir director.
But I do like to aggravate him. So and it's good that he lets me aggravate him. But so.
I have do you have a crisis hotline number? Because I know this is also the time of year when a lot of people they get a little maudlin, because it is a festive time of year and things haven't gone well, and you are in a place sometimes that you just need someone to talk to. So is there a crisis number?
There is a number, and I will have to say that I did not come prepared to have that with me.
I apologize.
But I can get that back to you. We have several options. There is the one crisis line that is specific for teens. And then we have the crisis hotline that is for any and all ages, that's run through the local mental health facilities.
I've got a REACH hotline.
That one is for domestic
violence.
Specifically for domestic violence. I was trying to see if I could pull that up, and I'm not doing very well.
Okay, let's see if we're getting it here. Where we go? 888-315-2880.
That sounds like a correct number.
Okay. Let's see. Appalachian Community Services.
That would be it.
Yes. Okay, so their crisis line is 888-315-2880, and that is manned 24 hours a day,
That's
365, 66 on leap year, 66 days a year.
And then they have direct access into the 911 center, where if someone needs immediate assistance from EMS or law enforcement, they will contact us directly and get resources to that person as soon as possible.
Okay.
And it is a time of year that even if things are going well, holidays bring dark times. for people, whether it's a loss of family members or some circumstance that is just relived during the holiday times.
Right.
So that is definitely something that our people are very well versed in. If you call them before calling the hotline, then we will stay on the line with you and connect them with the hotline and get them connected to get assistance as soon as possible.
Yeah, because you've got y'all have an immense amount of training yourselves in situations like that. So we thank you for all that you do.
Well, we appreciate it, and I really give kudos to our dispatch personnel. They're the unseen faces of the sheriff's office, the police departments, the fire departments, and EMS and rescue. They're the first ones that typically someone's going to talk to when they call for help, and they never know who they are and they never see them. But we have a very dedicated crew of people that is very committed to what they do, very passionate about their job, and they go all out.
Thank you so much for coming today.
You're welcome. I've enjoyed it, and we'll be sure and aggravate the sheriff for not showing up.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.